Hi everyone, this GPspirit face-to-face will be a bit different as we won't talk about the MotoGP itself, but still I will talk with a person who is deeply involved in MotoGP. He is Michele Zasa, Medical Director of Clinica Mobile, but also during his normal daily life he is a practicing doctor, an anesthetist. So you can imagine how busy he is nowadays with the coronavirus pandemic in Italy. Precisely, he is in Parma. So I know that we all full of information about the coronavirus and what's going on, but still I think it's worth to listen him and listen to his words. Hi Michele, thanks a lot for joining to my YouTube channel. So first of all, who doesn't know that you are the medical director of Clinica Mobile, responsible also for MotoGP, but you guys also working clearly on the World Superbike series, but we can see you every time on the track when we have the MotoGP races. So first of all, I was fully surprised when I saw the article that Paolo Ianieri did with you for Gazzetta dello Sport. My first question is that also in normal circumstances, let's say, are you still practicing as a doctor when you are at home and not at the MotoGP paddock?
Yes, of course. I mean, I'm a doctor, so when we are not having a race, I work back in Italy as an anesthesiology and a pre-hospital emergency doctor. So this is my usual job, and I want to keep this my professionality, let's say, out of the paddock world, and this is what we usually do also during the normal season, let's say. So yes, this is nothing different from what I was doing before, although everything is different now.
Sure. So that would be my second question. What exactly are you doing now with this coronavirus pandemic and this situation? It's kind of an emergency call number, no? This
Yes, like in some countries,
Parma.
it's called 911. We have a rapid response vehicle equipped with a lot of medical equipment, plus a doctor and a nurse. And in the most serious cases, we go and we attend the patient at their place, in the street. The idea is to stay and play, as they say, different from other countries where they have the so-called philosophy of scoop and run. So we go there with the doctor and the nurse. We try to do the first maneuvers, resuscitative maneuvers on site, and then we move the patient to the hospital where they can have the definitive treatment. So this is a service which is working in many countries in the same way. You have doctors going with the rapid response vehicles, helicopter or whatever on site to attend the patient on site. When I'm back at home, I'm still doing this. So when I'm not in the paddock, I basically work as an anesthesiologist for elective surgeries in a private hospital, but these surgeries now are stopped because of this emergency. And I also work as a doctor for pre-hospital emergency services. So this is what I have already been doing for years, and this is what I normally do when I'm at home.
How many cases or how many calls you have a day? And just let's talk about now in your region, or I think Parma precisely,
Parma.
right?
Yes, Parma now is one of the cities most hit by this emergency, and it depends. I would say in a day you can have from 6 to 10 calls, and most of them are because of this coronavirus emergency. Most of them are for patients with a suspected infection of coronavirus, and compared to the normal services, we have more calls because usually it's a bit less, plus the length of a service, the length of a job, let's say, when we are called, it's more, they are longer, because when you get access to the house of the patient, you need to cover yourself and to protect yourself with a severe, strict procedure. And then, especially when the service is up, when you have finished the work, because you have moved the patient to the hospital, you need to take care, particular care for when you undress, because this is a very dangerous time in which you can get infected. So you need to follow a procedure to get undressed, and this is very stressing as well, because for us it's very stressing to pay a lot of attention every time of the day. When you dress, when you attend the patient, when you undress, you always need to take care not to do any stupid thing, because if you do a stupid thing, this can kill you, can infect you, or potentially harm you.
And how are the shifts? So I don't know, you work, let's say, 2 days and then you have a break, or?
Variables, because I have elderly doctors who at this stage prefer not to work, and I fully understand them, because they are more subject to this virus. Plus, I have 2 colleagues who got infected and now cannot work. They are at home with a pneumonia. Yeah, this is a part of the job, the risk. So I would say that every day, today I'm off. It's the first day I'm off since, I would say, 10 days. And usually I do 6-hour shift or a 12-hour shift, depending on the day. So every day from 6 to 12 hours. Plus now we are trying to arrange another kind of service for the many patients who are at home and cannot be attended by the family doctor, because also many family doctors now are sick, got infected, and in any case they are overwhelmed with many patients. So in order to try to get to them at home and to try to help them at home, or to give just a basic evaluation, also to perhaps explain to them that the situation is not that serious, so for them it's better to stay at home rather than going to the hospital.
What was the worst case that you seen or you've experienced in this last couple of weeks?
I cannot say a single case, because they are all really difficult, but these are patients who are not breathing very well, are patients who in 2 or 3 hours can get worse, potentially can die in 2 hours, even people who are totally okay before this emergency. They say that it's 80 elderly people, like 80-year-old people. It's not like this, even 70, even 60. In the last week, we also saw many 60-year-old, 55-year-old people. I know about people who was dying, who was shouting because they were missing air and they could not breathe, and the hospital could do not more than give them oxygen. And this is the situation. It's really not a human situation. And what I said to the journalist, to Paolo, and in the interviews you saw, is that we are in World War III, and this is absolutely what I think. I saw scenes in the hospital who are like war scenario. Like wards, plenty of patients on the bed, some of them dying there, and this is the real situation. In this case, the enemy is not another country, but it's a virus, but it's a World War III. There is nothing to say against this. I mean, if you have someone who can come to the hospital here in Italy or wherever this emergency is developing, you can say nothing different from this is a war scenario.
Another question, because clearly we know that elder people are in the biggest danger because of the let's say normal health condition, etc. But I also read a couple of posts or whatever on social media, also articles, that also younger people who are already affected in this, they are suffering. So it's for me, and it's my opinion, but I would like to know your opinion as a doctor. It's a mistake to think that we are safe and okay, maybe we won't die, but still it's a huge suffering.
No one is safe. To be honest, you should talk to an epidemiologist, and I'm not an epidemiologist, but I can tell you my experience and the experience from my colleagues in this area of Italy, which is one of the with most cases. Men are more at risk. Women usually are a bit more protected, which means they die less. The women at risk are mostly, according to what we saw, women with a high weight, and women perhaps with hypertension in therapy for a high blood pressure. But this is in terms of survival. But in terms of being infected and having the symptoms and potentially having serious symptoms and having to be admitted to the hospital, no one is safe. We had people even much younger admitted to the hospital, even in intensive care, intubated, attached to a ventilator. So this is basically what's happening. Okay, I agree that many people can get infected and many of them will not die, but at the same time, we have a high number of deaths, and even younger people can really get sick very seriously.
Do you have any idea maybe of these really, really high numbers in Italy? I mean, according deaths, it's already the highest number, so higher than in China, for example. And also, I just checked before I call, and you have already known number. I'm talking about these 53,000 plus cases. So, and also I don't. But other thing I don't understand, that you have the lockdown already since more 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
The complete lockdown, and still the numbers are just getting higher and higher.
Yes.
Also the daily numbers, it's scary.
Yes, no. So in terms of number, as I say, that being not an epidemiologist, I don't care so much about the numbers, also because I understand that in this time of chaos, it's difficult to get the really accurate numbers. We will know them later on in 1 year or 2 years, perhaps. But these are not the real one, and this is a problem that also our government knows. It's difficult to test all the people and to test all the bodies of dead people. I don't know why we have this high number, which potentially are even higher. And compared to other countries, the feeling is that someone said in other countries probably they tried to hide the cases, and we were the first country declaring it at the very first time. I think everywhere in the world they thought, oh, look at the Italian people, that they are dirty, they have all this problem. While now I think, well, in some countries probably yes, but I fully understand. But now I think we are an example, because what happened to us, I think, can be an example also on how to move for other countries, because this is a pandemic problem, so it's a problem affecting everybody in the world. And related to the second question is also this point. So now we are paying our mistakes that we did 2, 3, 4 weeks ago. So probably, but it was difficult. I don't want to blame anyone, because probably at that time it was difficult. We didn't have the means to understand what was going to develop. And this is also
Italy was
how
the first country in Europe with
yes.
the high numbers.
This is also how many health professionals got infected, because at the very first time we had the information that this virus was arriving. We didn't know much. We said, well, but in China they are getting better. So we didn't protect ourselves. We didn't have strict guidelines on how to protect. So we went to a lot of cases, me and my colleagues, who were, let's say, cardiac case or respiratory case, and actually they had an infection. And so this is how some of my colleagues got infected at the very beginning, because healthcare professional infection is a serious matter that is going on now less, but still we have this problem. The problem is that if healthcare professional get infected, the rest of the population won't have medical care. So you understand this point. So basically, I think now we are paying the fact that we didn't lock down 2, 3 weeks ago. And I believe, but this is my personal opinion, that we would need a strong lockdown. Italy has been improving the lockdown throughout the weeks, and from yesterday night, also the factories and everything else in Italy got closed, other than the ones that are really needed for the population. So of course you keep open the supermarket, the pharmacies, what is needed for the population, but everything else is closed. I think there was a sort of fear to stop the economy, but there is no point in having this fear, because if you have no population, because your population is dying, who will use the money? This is something strange to me. So and my opinion, and also the suggestion to other countries and to other government, is to be brave and to take the right decision now, because the stronger you are now, the better it will be the outcome, and the quicker will be the good result, and you will be back to the economy as well. So at the end of the day, even the economy will be better if you close everything which is not needed now. So this is basically my point. And I saw that in some countries who are facing now difficult time, they didn't follow our example. I mean, we were an example in understanding what was going on, and that a delay could be serious. And I hope that some other countries would have took the right decision to close immediately rather than waiting. But what I see is that some other countries waited too much. Yeah. Another problem that we had in Italy and we are facing, and this was also part of the interview that you saw on the Italian newspaper, is that, of course, the Italian government didn't put in place a military regime, and so we still don't have the soldiers on the streets. So what happened in Italy, not many people, but some of the people, but you know, you have a big country, so even if it's a minor percentage, it's still many people, because the government said, okay, you can go for a walk if you are alone, you can go for a run if you are alone. If you give permission to some people, there will always be a minor part of the population in every country who will try to be the smart one, the one that I don't care. So we had people in the parks playing football, we had people running together, people meeting up on the benches, on the streets, and this was totally stupid. So I think now also the Italian government is putting more pressure on this, and the police is doing some checks, and I hope they will hit these people very strongly. You want the country, the government, to take care of your health because you are part of a community, which is your country and your government, but you don't want to deal with the decision of your government for the health of everybody. This is totally stupid, in my opinion.
I think your first advice is completely clear. Let's stay home. Everyone in every country, not just in Europe, because okay, now China looks like getting better, but now we know about Europe, now we know about America, US, Argentina, etc., etc. My last question, what do you think about wear a mask or not wear a mask if you don't have symptoms and you feel you are not affected? Because honestly, also in my country, the government says that no, if you are healthy, but how can I know whether I'm infected or not, even if without symptoms? So don't wear a mask because it's not useful.
Don't wear a mask is a suicide. It's a mass suicide at this time with this pandemic issue going through the world. You said China now is safe, but China now is scared about a possible second peak, because you are not safe for a second peak if the virus is still around in the world. And we should remember that the Spanish flu at the beginning of the 20th century had 3 peaks in 2 years. So imagine what it means to have 3 peaks in 2 years for the next 2 years, and what would be our life. So perhaps it's better to do a sacrifice now for a longer time, let's say a few weeks now, rather than having to run with this virus around. And regarding the mask, absolutely, as I said, there are a really high number of asymptomatic cases, or cases in which you think, oh, it's a normal flu, oh, I went out and it was cold, so I don't think I have the coronavirus. And these people is potentially infecting other people, who is potentially infecting other people. So I think putting the mask, it's a protection for yourself, first of all, of course, plus as perhaps your government said, I don't know, the Italian government is stressing it, wear the mask, wash your hands many times, don't put your hand in your hands in your face. So these don't stay close to other people, even if you are your relatives, try not to stay so close. But also it's a matter to protect the rest of the people, because if you are not imagine also from a, you know, when I give you a real example, perhaps it's more hitting, it's more it's more stressful for the people to listen and to understand. I attended 2 or 3 cases in which I went to the places of people around 70-year-old, 75-year-old, who in my opinion are not old. Nowadays, 70, 75, taking 1 medication or 2, they are not old, they are autonomous, they can do their normal life. They got infected by their son. You know, one or two of this family told me, my son came to visit us after 2 days, he got a flu, and now we are like this. So the son now is much better. In these 2 cases, the 2 sons are better. But in one case, the mother, in one case, the father, I had to admit them to the hospital, and potentially they could die. So not wearing a mask is very dangerous for the rest of the people. If you don't care for the rest of the people, imagine for the rest of your families. Many cases of people, members of the family, infected by the younger one in Italy. So this is a real issue.
Thank you for your time, Michele. I really hope that at least we can reach a couple of more people who still maybe haven't understood yet how serious the situation is. Take care, please.
We try.
We need you anyway, not just the MotoGP. So, and I hope that it's gonna finish soon, and maybe we can avoid the second and the third peak, as you mentioned.
I hope so. I'm not sure, but I hope so.